98.3 FM.
Good morning and welcome to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. I trust we had an awesome night rest. I hope we did not have to wake up in the middle of the night to have to think of the many bills on our table, especially as we head into the festive season, as we head into the Christmas period. Let's just, let's be positive and let's be hopeful for better days to come, for greater things to come, and let's just, keep the hope alive. My name is Omobola Sandra. I'll be looking through the major trending stories on the front pages of our papers this morning. We have the Punch, the Guardian, and Vanguard newspaper in no particular order. And I will not be doing this alone. I have Fuad Sahid who will join via the phone line to give analysis to the stories that we'll be looking through this morning. So we'll do this up until about 8:30. Thank you.
This is a
So
demonstration of
Wirecast.
Wirecast.
We'll take a short commercial break and then we are back for Mainland Focus, where we get to, open the phone line for you to share your own thoughts. You get to share your own submission as regards the major stories for this morning. It's going to be an interesting run. Don't forget, we are live on Facebook and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. So you can also drop your comments even as the show progresses. Radio Garden is fine now, so all you have to do is download the Radio Garden app on your phone and search out Mainland 98.3 FM and you're good to go. You can listen to us from any corner of the world. Also, you can also listen to us via our website, www.mainlandfm.com. There's a listen live there. Just click on the icon and you're also good to go. So, so many alternative channels for you to stay tuned to your favorite dial for talk and conversations. Okay, so we'll take a very short break and we'll be right back. Don't touch the dial.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Knowledge is power. Information is key. And that is why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. Join Omobola Sandra and Sage Babalola on the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion that tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome aboard the Morning Express.
Good morning.
Thank you for staying with us. It is still Milan 98.3 FM. The Morning Express kicks off with trends in the papers. And I have Fuad Sahid with me already. Good morning, Fuad.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
Well, thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, so many stories for us to look through this morning. And I think I'll just kick things off with a major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper. But before that, of course, the video that has been trending, the one with the military, and although the story around what happened has been really sketchy, we can't really see what exactly happened. Just saw videos of someone being brutalized, and then what exactly led up to that is still something that needs to exactly. We're not sure of what happened, but there's been reports coming in that investigation is already into that particular matter. Do you have thoughts on that, Fuad?
Well, very unfortunate, really. And these are things we've seen consistent. The question,
this is a demonstration of Wirecast.
How, we actually live our lives. What are the standards, really, when it comes to public behavior, standards of operations, especially when it comes to the military guys. We've seen people brutalized. We've seen people, whose human rights have been trampled upon, basically because people wear the camouflage, the military uniform. They feel they are untouchables. They feel that nobody should question them.
This is a demonstration of WireCast.
How we run some of these institutions, Sandra, if you understand what I'm saying. Again, you want to compare the way we run these institutions with the way it is run in other places. I don't know if in any of those developed societies you see a situation where a military guy will just be beating a civilian just because he's wearing the camouflage. But these things we tolerate it, Sandra. We think it doesn't matter. Oh, they see you as a bloody civilian. Why would you question them? Who are you? When you are driving, you must leave the road for them. When they are coming, you must not talk. When they slap you, you must not say anything. I think questions our level of civilization as a people, Sandra. Are we actually civilized people? Or we think in our minds we are civilized, but in reality we are not actually civilized. You understand what I'm saying? Because these things keep happening. It's not new. A lot of Nigerians have suffered it. There was a time I also suffered it, Sandra. I had my entire family in the car. I was almost done with beating up just because I was on the road and they wanted me to leave the road for them. And I'm like, why? Why should I leave the road for you? And they came in trying to, pull me out of the car. They were almost going to take my door out. So we see these things, we live with it, we suffer it sometimes. If it happens to people, we talk about it. But do you have anybody doing anything about it? Nobody cares. Even the military authority. What is their reactions to these things? Are they not probably quietly happy about it?
Of WireCast.
So, again, it's about the kind of people we are, the show of power. Like what I read to you a long time ago, Sandra, when Lord Lugard was talking about the black man that loves power so much, but forgets that there are responsibilities that comes with having power. And that is who we are. We learn to show off.
Great responsibility.
Well, no, the responsibility part we throw it away. We don't care about what comes with power. So we'll wait to see what the military authorities are going to do about it. The office of the chief of army staff has said that they're going to investigate it. But my mind tells me it's just going to go. Nothing is going to happen.
Thank you very much, Fuad. So much more to talk about. Well, just as you have said, we'll see how exactly this would end. Because we've seen similar things in the past that, either swept under the carpet or everyone just moves on or, whatever it is that happens. But then...
the simplest thing as even wearing a camouflage. They beat you up. But in other societies, you see people wear the military camouflage. People just, you can't dare not do that here. Not this civilian. Look at these things.
All of them. Fuad, should I drop your location so they come and carry you wherever it is that you are?
I'm a bloody civilian, understand that?
Thank you very much. Let's move on to the major stories that we have this morning. Time check is 7:48 a.m. This is Milan 98.3 FM. It's trends in the papers. Major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper.
This
PDP crisis. Damagum to remain chair as NWC and state chairman meet. And we have writers here that says pro-Wike governors insist on keeping Damagum till October 2025 as NEC meeting tops agenda. I didn't know there were pro-Wike governors in PDP. I thought it was just one pro-Wike governor. I didn't know there were several, but apparently...
there are some that openly claim to be pro-Wike governor, and we know it's Imakide. The others are quiet about it.
Of WireCast.
They are in the closet.
In their movement, their curriculum movements, you will know.
Anyways, ahead of the PDP 99th National Executive Committee meeting that's slated for November 28th, there are indications that Umar Damagum has perfected plans to remain as the acting national chairman of the party till next year. And exclusively, it was revealed that the Damagum-led National Working Committee is scheduled to meet with the 36 PDP state chairmen and the SCT chairman at the party's headquarters today. And a senior figure in the PDP leadership who spoke on the condition of anonymity because he was not authorized to speak, mentioned that most of the chairmen had already arrived as of yesterday, suggesting that the meeting could be related to the upcoming NEC. So, are we moving forward with Damagum as the national acting chairman?
You know, I've been for a long time to really talk on speculative stories. You know, stories that have unnamed sources.
This is a
And
demonstration
you can't
of
really put it
Wirecast.
on any known source. But the reality is that, look, for every day that you know, you get the news about the PDP, you have a feeling that it's not a party that is ready, you know, to wrestle power from the APC in 2027. You know, somebody posted something on social media, I think it was about 2 or 3 days ago, and said that, look, the APC is firmly in the hand of Aᴊɪḵ 100%.
This is a demonstration
And
of
now that the PDP
Wirecast.
is also firmly in the hand of Aᴊɪḵ 90%. And I'm like, you can't fault that assumption, Sandra, because you have a party that is so disorganized. You have a party that does not really know what they want. And I think it's a party that is not even reading the room to know that, look, whatever they suffered in 2023, they're probably going to suffer double of it, if not triple of it, in 2027 if they put their ass together. But again, I wish the PDP the good luck. If you like, Damagum should
This is
remain
a
there.
demonstration of
Because
Wirecast.
that's always the pattern. Every chairman that is appointed in the PDP, it's always extremely difficult to remove them. You understand? They will come in as acting, you know, eventually want to consolidate on the position and remain there until, you know, a drastic action is taken to remove them. You ask yourself, what exactly is Damagum looking for? You know, but you know, it's not a Damagum thing. The reality is that the party is divided along these two lines. You have the Wike faction, you have the people that are loyal to Atiku.
This is
And
a
these two factions
demonstration
are
of
exactly they're going to be
Wirecast.
ready to work together or share their sweat for the sake of the party. It's a party going down the drain. I think it's a party that it's going into extinction. My mind tells me.
All right. Well, as it is now, still other particular reports as regards, you know, Damagum continuing or staying as the party's acting national chairman until further notice. And this is because many members and key stakeholders are now less focused on replacing
is a
him
demonstration
for a
of
short term
Wirecast.
than 10 months when they could have a permanent chairman who will serve a full 4-year term. The delay in finding a replacement has led many to lose interest in the matter, with an elective PDP convention scheduled October to November 2025. So party leaders have shifted their focus to managing Damagum until the next convention. Let's just, you know, let's focus on so many other things. In addition to these reasons, there are ongoing legal disputes surrounding the issue. While these are can potentially be navigated, some party leaders want to avoid actions that could lead to more litigation. Moreover, the Wike group that's backing Damagum has expanded its influence into the north central region. So, Plateau State Governor Kelem has not yet convened to propose a replacement for Damagum. Therefore, Damagum will remain in his acting role for now. That is what we have as regards this particular report. You can get further details of this particular report on page 2 of it's quite it's a very, very long one. There's still further, you know, discuss in this particular one, but then you can get further discuss on page 2, because there's also a part here where some people are holding Damagum holding him responsible for the party's loss in Edo and Ondo State.
No, every member of the party contributed to their portion in Edo and Ondo State. It's a divided party now, so it can't just be a Damagum thing. From Wike to Atiku, every stakeholder in that party
This is a
should
demonstration
feel ashamed
of
that, you know,
Wirecast.
they are seeing the party die, and I don't think they really care.
Thank you very much for that. And also, it's also worthy of note, the tribute or the valedictory service of some sort, or valedictory plenary session of some sort for the late Senator Ifeanyi, where his family, you know, were received. Yes, his family were received at the Senate yesterday. So tribute as Senate holds a valedictory session
This is
for
a
late Uba.
demonstration
That's
of
also a report that you
Wirecast.
can get here on page 11 of the Punch newspaper. May he so rest in peace.
Well, again, that's life, really. A day to come to the world, a day to leave the world. I think he's done his own part. His politics his life in the business world and everything he stands for will now be his legacy that people will continue to talk about. So that's what life brings, you know. When it's time, it's time. There's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
This is a
Thank you very much. And that's further details, as I mentioned, of that on page 11. Yes, on page 11 of the Punch newspaper. Also, moving on now, still on politics, Agboola Ajayi, that's the PDP candidate for the gubernatorial elections in Ondo State, is going to court, even as Aiyedatiwa is set to receive his certificate of return. And that story is also on page 2 of the Punch newspaper.
Well, it's within his right to go to court. You know, I think the president has also said that whoever is not happy with the results of the election should also approach the courts to seek redress. And I think that's the right thing to do, really. We don't want any crisis or chaos or fight or you know, issues with elections. The law itself says that when you are not happy as a candidate, you have legal options, you know, to explore. And the legal option is for him to file a petition at the Elections Petition Tribunal. Because it's a governorship election, he's not happy with the verdict of the tribunal, he also can go to the appeal court, and then the Supreme Court would have a final say if he decides to take it that far. So that's what it is, really. Go to court, and I think he has done the right thing by going to court since he feels completely dissatisfied about the process. He's alleging fraud. He's called the election the worst ever conducted in the history of the country. But he who alleges must be able to prove. And the honors of proving that indeed the election was rigged against him is not in his hands.
A demonstration of Wirecast.
Thank you. Further details on page 2. Now, above the masthead of the Punch newspaper, we also have this report here. APC and PDP governors disagree over oil revenue sharing. And basically, the governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed, has revealed that state governments have yet to benefit from the improved revenue that's generated by the oil sector, as the remittances are not being properly credited to the Federation account. Let's not forget, Bala Mohammed also happens to be the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, and he has urged the federal government to provide a clear and detailed explanation to the public as to why the revenues that have been collected are not being properly remitted for distribution and sharing among the 3 tiers of government as stipulated by law. Let us not forget that just some months or weeks or so ago, a report came in that, due to, removal of subsidy and the fact that we're making so much money now from oil and, because we are producing more crude, now we are able to make more money, to be able to share more money to the state governments. That's from the federal government now. That's the report that we have been getting, that the state governments now have much more from the Federation account. But here we have now Bala Mohammed giving this contradicting report. There's also a disclosure here as regards when the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, when he gave his report, stressing that it should be considered nothing of a miraculous work that states are yet to benefit, under the current minister, despite being one of the biggest oil producing nations. So, Fuad, revenue generation as regards oil and remittances and allocation to state governments.
I'm surprised that, and I respect that the coordinating minister of
Finance,
Minister of Finance and Minister of Minister of Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, should respond to these. If there are issues with oil revenues and proper remittances of those revenues, you have to quickly respond to these. What's happening? Are we having a situation where monies are being made in the oil sector that are supposed to be remitted, and we're not seeing it, or we're not remitting it properly? So what's going on? Are we running some accounts, some voodoo accounts? Are we running some voodoo accounts?
Yeah, but because what the report is saying is that due to the fact that, or due to subsidy or payment of subsidy, that NNPC, which is responsible for the management, for the sales of our crude, has not been remitting to the Federation accounts because of payment of subsidy.
So are we still paying subsidy?
No.
You don't understand what I'm saying? That's why, in the oil sector, the more you try to make a meaning from whatever we have as a structure, whether it's about revenue, about remittances, you get more confused because I'm surprised that we're having a conversation around subsidy payment again. And that's why it's important to speak for clarity, complete clarity as to how these things are being done. You understand what I'm saying? So as far as we know, they've told us that it's a completely deregulated market and that subsidy has now gone finally completely. You know, the initial subsidy is gone on the day one of Mr. President. Eventually became a mere statement because it was now quietly introduced in the form of weighted average cost for dollars and all those kinds of things. So, but what we are getting now that look, now that we are buying at over 1,000 naira per liter, you know, they have now removed subsidy completely, whether it is intervention or no. So there's no intervention again. That's what they are telling us. So I don't know where this is coming from. That the NNPCL is not remitting because they are paying some subsidy. What subsidy? Subsidy on what precisely? And that's why I think that the Minister of Finance, who is also the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, should quickly respond to these allegations from Bala Mohammed. So on the issue of remittances, I think we'll be waiting to see what the government will say about that. If it's just mere allegations or there are issues to it.
I mean, just early this year, if this is in one way or the other answering what Bala Mohammed is saying in November 2024, but just early this year, Fuad, I think I remember, you know, a report coming in from the NNPCL that, you know, oh, look at us. From the Chief Financial Officer of NNPCL, Omar Ajia, saying that for the first time in a long time, NNPCL in 2023 contributed to the Federation account, accounting for 4.5 trillion between January and September 2023. That's last year, anyways. But then Bala Mohammed coming in and saying, oh, since 2022, NNPCL has not been remitting anything to the Federation account. So this is where, you know, we are having
who can help us clarify this now?
The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister.
And that's why I'm addressing from between the NNPCL now and Bala Mohammed. We have issues that are difficult really for us to accept or process, if you understand what I'm saying. Because at the end of the day, it has to be the Minister of Finance who has to come clear the air on this particular one. Because I've gotten to the point where it's difficult for me to even believe anybody when it comes to issues like this, unless we have the Minister of Finance who comes, documents these things, give us evidence, and then we can begin to work with that. But on the issue of whether the states are getting more money, we've discussed that several. Yes, more monies are being shared, but the values have dropped. So
this is a demonstration of Wirecast.
All right. Well, I think that's definitely a network issue here. So we'll try to reconnect with Said Fuad so we can carry on with this particular conversation because, you know, there's a reaction of some sort from the APC governors now responding to Bala Mohammed's allegations. The Deputy National Organizing Secretary of APC, Nze Chidi Duru, urged the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum and Bauchi State Governor, Senator Bala Mohammed, to seek clarification before running to the public with unsubstantiated argument. He said, and I quote, "Our call at all points in time is that opposing views are welcome in as much as they are constructive towards nation building and they are not views expressed only because they want to play to the gallery. If his view is to be taken seriously, it must not be generic and verbose. It must be specific and concrete. So he must put down evidence on the table for further elaboration. So by and large, it is welcome, and our call will be that he puts the facts forward." While stating that the APC government is not averse to correction, Duru demanded Mohammed present sufficient evidence to back up his claim, especially now that virtually every Nigerian knows each state earns more allocation under the current administration. All right, and of course, try to reach the NNPCL spokesperson, Fᴜᴜ yielded no result. But just as you know, the question is who exactly would give a true picture of things as regards, remittances of our oil sales to the federal account, and if the subnationals are benefiting from these remittances or not. Further details on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you, Sandra.
Okay, yes. Well, it's 8:05, and this is Milan 98.3 FM. We're moving on from that story to Dangote Refinery begins petrol export to
demonstration
West
of
African
Wirecast.
countries. That's also an interesting read, and the story is on page 21 of the Punch newspaper. And what we have, I think this is something that we had already seen coming. A lot of people had probably seen this coming, especially, when there was so many back and forth as regards payment or no payment, and, deliverance or no deliverance. Anyways, the Dangote Petroleum Refinery has begun the export of refined petroleum to neighboring
This
West
is a
African countries.
demonstration of
This is a
Wirecast.
sign to traders that the mega refinery's operations could soon potentially shake up regional fuel markets. Fuad.
Well, this was going to happen eventually, because again there was an intention really by Dangote to have built the refinery in the free trade zone. So he's not only looking at the local market. I'm sure he's also looking at opportunities in our West African sub-region and even in other parts of the world too. So
This
wherever
is a
there is market for
demonstration
him
of
to sell his
Wirecast.
product, I'm sure he's going to explore, and that's what he's already doing. Remember that first and foremost, it's a private refinery, so it's about profit making for him. So whatever gives him that profit margin, whatever market, creates that opportunity for him to make money, he's going to explore, especially with our own inconsistencies here back home. If you understand. So he's going to explore those opportunities while we are still dealing with our own.
This is a demonstration of
inconsistencies,
Wirecast.
the back and forth, the lies, the half truths that devils the Nigerian oil sector. So Mr. Man has to find a way to survive and keep his business going. And I think that's what he's doing.
Well, thank you very much. As reported some few weeks ago, the Dangote Refinery is set to begin fuel exports to South Africa, Angola, and Namibia. Well, now an update: 4 other African countries have also
This
started
is a
negotiations with
demonstration of
Dangote.
Wirecast.
Niger Republic, Chad, Burkina Faso, and Central Africa Republic have also begun negotiations with Dangote Refinery as regards off-taking of refined petroleum products from the Dangote Refinery.
Sandra, I know we now have a new timeline for when our Port Harcourt refinery will happen. It's now shortly. That's the timeline now.
Shortly.
Yes. They're very, very soon.
This is a
Wow.
demonstration of
No
Wirecast.
dates again. We are not working with dates again. Myself and Sage had a big conversation. I think it was yesterday.
I'm just.
When
he said.
They asked him now that they said it was.
But when
they
he
ran into
just
some
came in
unexpected
and said,
circumstance.
timeline. And I was like, okay. Is this something different from what we had yesterday? And then I was expecting
no.
maybe December, Christmas Day is a Christmas gift to all Nigerians that, the Port Harcourt refinery will start working. And then you
This
and it would have been a wonderful
demonstration
Christmas
of
gift, actually.
Wirecast.
But we got a Christmas gift from them in December 2024. No, 2023, sorry.
Okay.
2023, when they told us 70% mechanically completed, Abby. And then we all went to town, happy. Another December is upon us now.
I don't know. You are
Mechanical-
for.
Oh, you didn't go to town with it?
I didn't follow you to town because I struggled at first to even understand what it meant to be mechanically ready. I think I
This
took
is a
about 2 weeks for my
demonstration of
small brain to,
Wirecast.
put that into some sort of.
Proper perspective.
It's okay. Anyways,
It's
finally,
almost 1 year now. We're still on the mechanical free.
we'll soon do Thanksgiving for the mechanical thing. 1 year,
And these guys
1 year
these guys
anniversary
are-
of
they-
mechanical.
they understand our level of
readiness.
facility, actually, Sandra. They know that they will say these things, and because when I read through the फ़ᴜӷᴜᴜ interview, and they understand that we are not going to react.
This
They
is a
understand that they are going to get
demonstration of Wirecast.
because they now asked him, okay, what timeline should we work with? And I said, short, very soon.
Well, shortly it could be in the next 2 seconds. And in the next 2 seconds, we'll be looking at the final story from the front page of the Punch newspaper. AG uncovers 4.6 billion naira unapproved spending in Umahi's ministry. That's Dave Umahi, the Minister of Works, by the way.
But
Just in case.
the story is about what happened under the Fashola
This is a
wait,
demonstration
now,
of Wirecast.
you know, the,
Minister of Works and
the
Housing.
headline says Umahi's ministry. Someone is
Yes.
probably wondering what
Why
exactly is
not
going
even
on.
say the Ministry of Works?
It's,
Why not Umari into it? Because at the end of the day, the report is talking about, I think, the year 2000 and year 2000 and
2020, 2021.
exactly 2020, 2021.
Mm.
They must put Umari there, and the man will wake up and say, Kirimushi.
Well, the Ministry
is a
of Works,
demonstration
the
of
housing
Wirecast.
sector, there has been plans from the Auditor General of the Federation's annual report that between 2020 and 2021, there were significant lapses in internal controls under Babatunde Fashola, the former Minister of Works and Housing. And this report gives details on several issues, including...
That was when the two ministries were together under Fashola.
Yes. That's the second term. Yes,
I
because
think
the
there was
first
only a time
term
that it was only
it was
This
three.
is a
ministries.
demonstration
Power,
of
Yeah.
housing,
Wirecast.
Power,
works.
housing, and
That was in
health,
the first term of former
Prime
President Muhammadu
Minister,
Buhari,
very powerful.
Prime Minister of the Federation. It was an interesting one. And so, aside, what we have now is payments made without proper documentation, extra budgetary expenditures, mobilization fees exceeding approved thresholds, contracts awarded without following due process, and this and many more are the things that were uncovered. A sum of
This is a
1.08 billion
demonstration
naira
of
was paid
Wirecast.
from the Government Integrated Financial Management Information. What is going on here? Government Integrated Financial Management Information System accounts without the requisite payment vouchers, which violates, Financial Regulations 2009. Also, there was a 546 million naira that was transferred to project accounts without adequate documentation or budgetary provisions.
This is a
The Auditor
demonstration
General's
of
report
Wirecast.
attributed these anomalies to weak internal control mechanisms in the ministry and as one of risks such as funds misappropriation and loss. And despite queries, the ministry has failed to respond to these issues. So, as the Auditor General has highlighted these anomalies, Fuad,
Anomalies.
what is going to happen? Are they wherever Fashola is, because I don't know where he is, nobody knows where he is. Wherever Fashola is, are they going to bring him in? Is there going to be some sort of probing? What exactly is going to happen going forward with this report
This
that we
is
have
a
now?
demonstration of
I
Wirecast.
think there are two institutions that should pick up the matter immediately. The Accountant General of the Auditor General's office have done their job. And you can see from the report that even after querying some of these things, the ministry has not even responded. That's the level of impunity you have in the country. Nobody cares. They might not even talk. You understand? But this is a damning revelation, Sandra, that must not be swept under the carpet.
That's what I'm saying. What
thing
if
that should happen
it's... Okay,
This is a
please go on.
demonstration of
Yeah, the first thing that
Wirecast.
should happen is that, look, the House Committee on Works and Housing, the committee that has the responsibility for oversight function on that ministry, should pick it up immediately. And luckily, we have the year. So, from the minister then, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, to the directors in that ministry at that time, to the permanent secretary and all of the officials must now answer queries and questions on this particular revelation
This
from
is
the
a
Auditor General.
demonstration of Wirecast.
Very, very important. And while we are doing that, Mr. Olukoyede, pastor, should also begin to look into that matter. You don't understand what I'm saying, Sandra. So it's not, so if they lie, they should not. But one will begin to take this particular report seriously, because the King General has been able to put together,
This is a
to also make
demonstration.
a
minutes remaining.
report that don't follow things through, really. Something else will happen now, we forget about it. I'm sure if we're not careful, in the next 1 or 2 weeks, we'll forget that there's a report like this.
All right.
This
Thank you very
is a
much. I
demonstration of
apologize for that sound
Wirecast.
break there. This 15 minutes of our papers this morning, and that is the story we're just looking at spending in the Ministry of Works, and remits them to the Treasury, and that it recover the funds and remits them to the Treasury. The audit report also recommended that evidence of compliance should be submitted to the National Assembly's public accounts committees, and failing which sanctions under paragraph 31606 of the
This
financial
is a
regulations
demonstration of
should
Wirecast.
apply. Of course, so many considerations here, but those are the recommendations that the Auditor General has given as regards this particular report. And just as Fuad has said also as well, the relevant agencies that should take it up and do something about it, hopefully, will be done. All right, that's all we can take from the front page of the Punch newspaper. And now we'll just very quickly, move on to the Guardian newspaper, as there's a major headline there that we also need to just quickly take a swipe at. It's also something we're going to take up against the major headline on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. It's all about money, and the spending thereof. The major headline on the front page of the Guardian newspaper: 2025 appropriation bill. Fiscal hurdle awaits 47.9 trillion naira budget. MDA's mobilization capacity. And we have here, while the proposed budget is ambitious, it is essential to implement effective strategies to increase revenue generation. This includes strengthening tax administration, expanding the tax base, and improving tax compliance. By taking these steps, Nigeria can work towards a more sustainable fiscal future. So, there's a lot of projections on the 2025 appropriation bill budget. There's a lot of projections. There's a lot of plans. There's a lot that the federal government is hoping to achieve from this particular
demonstration of Wirecast.
From this particular budget. But then whether or not it will be done, because experts are always also looking into it as regards if it is possible, if it is something that can be done, we'll see. But we have riders here. 2025 estimates about $10 billion less than current budget in real terms. Nigeria is punching below its weight, says Don. A stronger naira may halt recent growth in GOE, that's government-owned enterprise revenues. So major revenue agencies, the NNPCL, the FIRS, the Nigeria Customs Service, may need to magically increase revenue by over 200% next year to break the 14-year trend of overstated revenue projections and prevent another failed budget cycle. I think this is something that, we started the conversation on Monday, but then is it possible, this 47.9 trillion naira budget, is this something that we can actually look at? Because there are projections of a deficit of 13.07 trillion naira already. We have non-lawyer taxes, we have government revenues that are going to be bringing in some funds. But then if you add all of these sources of revenue, if you add all of them together, it still doesn't, pay off what we are budgeting for. Add everything together, it's still not up to 47.9 trillion naira. So there's going to be a huge deficit. And of course, there are projections of another failed budget cycle. For
Of course, that's upon us already.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
Because again, whatever led us into running 3 budgets in one, year.
One fiscal year.
In one fiscal year, so it means we're going to probably see the same thing. And with what we already seen as projections for 2025, it's obvious and evident that look, with a realistic, most likely we're going to have another failed budget projection.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
The reality is that look, we're going to borrow more. Because again we are still borrowing. I'm sure we're still going to look at the recent request from the president to the Senate to borrow another $2.2 billion. That's about 1.7 trillion naira. So the borrowing will continue because again this particular request of the president to the Senate is on the 2024 budget. So whatever borrowing we are even talking about is still tied to the 2024 budget that they're still running. So the 13 trillion we are almost going to borrow and continue to borrow because our projections I don't think is going to happen really. So again, we don't really do budget performance index. We don't really measure budget performance as well. So we just keep running this budget.
If we did a budget performance of 2023, we will not be running 4 different budgets concurrently in 2024. But then a detailed analysis of the projections of this budget, the Nigerian Economic Society said the budget projects 7.68 trillion naira
This
from
is a
oil sales, which is
demonstration of
about 41%
Wirecast.
of the revenue. Pointing to the core budget figures, there are also warnings that the expansionary budget could compromise efforts to rein in inflation and therefore make a mess of the efforts of the Central Bank of Nigeria, which is contradictory to the major focus of the budget, which is inflation control. Trying to control inflation, but then making it even worse. All right. And if we're going to go by oil revenue,
This
Revenue
is a
projection,
demonstration of
exactly. With the
Wirecast.
production level rising and the assurance that it may actually even move further to 2.2 million barrel, Nigeria may see oil revenue at 5 trillion, given the projected crisis with the oil price, the global economy and expectations and all of that. But then we also have other agencies for revenue generation aside from oil revenue. We have the Federal Inland Revenue Service, as FIRS. We also have the Nigeria Customs Service.
This
All right,
is a
and these are
demonstration of Wirecast.
agencies that hopefully we'll be able to make so much more from. Apart from that, we also have the NPA, that's the Nigerian Ports Authority. Apart from the NPA, there are other 46 or thereabouts government-owned enterprises, including Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, Nigeria Communication Commission, that may generate, some more funds and all of that. With fuel subsidy out of the way, Nigeria may need to sustain oil production to settle cash call arrears,
This
pay for
is a
crude-backed
demonstration
loans,
of
potentially
Wirecast.
double oil revenue and all of that. So, but then, as it is, Nigeria has underperformed, since 2010. And that's about 14 years ago. Nigeria has underperformed in terms of revenue. So if we are working with this, projection now, how can we trust? Yes, let's just put it down. How can we trust?
Transport.
What? How
The,
can?
the, the projections
This is a
are clear.
demonstration
Put all
of
of these things you
Wirecast.
read out together. Put all of the revenue generating agencies and institutions together. We see a projection that we're going to be running a 13 trillion budget deficit. It's going to go up. Deficit. Just like the 2024.
That's where we're going. That's exactly where we're going, because economics are saying that on the budget estimates, the depreciation of the naira and also the current inflation has rendered our local currency worthless. Well, almost worthless, stressing that though this 47 trillion 2025
Trillion
proposal
budget
may look higher than 2024 budget
it's
in
not
terms of
reality.
real value, they are almost the same
It doesn't.
because of the depreciation
How,
of the
how
naira.
badly devalued our currency is now.
Because
so it's not as if we have a bigger budget. It's not, because again, if you look at the value of 28 trillion or 29
35
trillion a
trillion
year,
naira last year,
29 trillion, and it's almost the same thing.
and then you look at 47 trillion. If you look at it,
In real value, it's the same thing. In fact, you probably say 29 trillion is even a bit bigger.
This is a demonstration of Wirecast.
because to give you more.
Of
Because
the
it will,
Buhari regime.
yes, because it will give you more
So that give you more
It's
than what
than
7 trillion will give you now.
than what 47 trillion will give you. And as it is now, Nigeria is currently indebted to the tune of 134 trillion naira. That's
That's our
91
debt
billion.
profile. When we get to the story of the new borrowings, you understand why we should begin to pay attention to these things, Sandra.
Now,
The entire debt now is 134 trillion, Sandra.
yes,
Buhari left it at 87 trillion.
Demonstration
Sandra.
of Wirecast.
87 trillion. Buhari left the entire debt profile of the country. This administration, in 1 year, have borrowed 20 trillion, Sandra. Unprecedented, unbelievable. Let's take the story of the debt profile of the country.
thank you. So, the major headline on the front page of Vanguard. I have just very few minutes left on the show, so I would run very, very quickly, and I would appreciate if Fuad can be on the same pace as I am.
This is a
It's
demonstration
8:25
of
a.m., and we
Wirecast.
still have quite a lot of stories that we need to quickly look through. And this is Trends in the Papers on mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. Now, the major headline on the front page of Vanguard reads, experts warn as Tinubu seeks approval of $2.2 billion fresh external borrowing. And as it is now, he has forwarded the 2025-2027 MTEF, that's the medium-term expenditure framework, for approval. Experts are raising alarm over fiscal fragility. too fragile.
This
Effects
is a
of fresh borrowing is
demonstration of
likely to be
Wirecast.
devastating for the economy, says Adonri. That's David Adonri. We also have how the loan will be repaid is necessary. Professor Walike is saying economic impact depends on how it is utilized. Ebomed says so. As it is now, experts are really concerned about this fresh $2.2 billion, borrowing that the president has already gotten approval.
No, today. I think it's to be passed today.
Today. Oh, he's seeking approval
This
for it.
is a demonstration
And
of
it will be
Wirecast.
passed as expected.
Okay. So we'll just wait. Anyways,
You know the National Assembly we have now. Rather.
say even if it
Sharp,
comes
sharp.
it to be approved. Anyways, as it is now, experts are warning against the plunging of the country into more debt for her. This is scary. And so, reacting to this fresh loan request, David Adorin, the executive vice chairman at High-Cap Securities, said federal government is already in a debt trap, thus requiring a new foreign debt to
This is
service
a
an outstanding
demonstration
debt.
of
So you're just
Wirecast.
borrowing money to clear the money that you borrowed.
If you give a wrong message.
So, federal government also requires a new foreign debt to finance import content of its budget. So the federal government is now in a quagmire as sinking further into debt worsens its precarious situation. Yet, without additional foreign debt, it cannot survive. That's the uncomfortable.
Sandra, where is the benefit of all of the rhetoric of subsidy is gone?
This
The
is a
arbitrage in the
demonstration
foreign exchange
of
market is
Wirecast.
gone. We are now doing this. Where are the tangible benefits now, especially when it comes to our debt profile? Because look, whatever we borrowed in the last 18 months is unprecedented, Sandra. I just told you. Look, the figures are there for people to take at the DMO, the Development Office. Is it 7 trillion? We're already pushing over 130 trillion in just 18 months, Sandra. Yes, people are going to come down to say, oh, something wrong in borrowing. Oh, our debt to
This is a
GDP.
demonstration
This was the
of
opportunity, the
Wirecast.
leeway to borrow more. But the question is that, look, what is on ground to even show for what we are borrowing? And what are we even borrowing for? We are going to pay another borrowing, or another borrowing. And then you ask yourself, whereas one of the committee members, Senate committee on appropriation members, Mr. Jimo Brahim, was on TV yesterday saying that, oh, there's nothing wrong. In fact, he thinks that the 2.2 billion we are borrowing is too small. We should push for $50 billion.
This is
That
a
one we
demonstration
now
of
borrow,
Wirecast.
we now use the money to build infrastructure. It looks logical and reasonable. Oh, because again, most of these foreign loans are just about 1% interest. And so it makes a lot of sense. We should borrow, blah, blah. But I keep telling people who make such infantile statements. Do we consider a corruption index? The monies we borrowed in the past, what are the things that we can point to say, okay, yes, this is what we've done with the money?
Thank you very much, because that's exactly where I was going to. Even this fresh money that we are collecting, is it
This is a
all going to go into
demonstration
debt
of
servicing, or
Wirecast.
are there projects on ground? And another thing for her is that projects on ground that will not just soak the money, but also make some more money for the country. It's just like it's just like you're borrowing money to start a business. You know that from that business you will make more money that you
That's why I
can
say, no, there's nothing wrong in borrowing, Sandra. But we must also remember our own corruption index. The fact that, look, at the end of the day, these monies will not go into what we are borrowing them for.
All right.
This
We
is a
have to wrap things up
demonstration
now.
of
We are out of
Wirecast.
time. Another concern is the emphasis seems to be on Euro bonds, which are non-concessional and very costly. I think more attention should be on the sovereign sukuk, which are project tied and a lot cheaper. And that's coming from Professor Walike.
Sandra, I still ask you the question. What is the benefit of removing subsidy, this aggressive revenue drive, the stopping of the arbitrage floating of the currency, the foreign exchange market, blah, 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 blah. Whereas our debt profile is not dropping. Because again, when you look at the entire thing, it's looking more like the so-called Google economy that people have been talking about.
Well, as it is now, on economic impact, I have here, and I'm quoting Clifford Egbemo, the public affairs analyst, saying that without proper oversight, the loan could contribute to wasteful spending or fail to deliver the intended developmental outcome, leaving the country burdened with even higher debt. So many other stories.
Sandra, have you seen any commitment from this government to stop wasteful spending.
Demonstration of Wirecast.
Have you seen any commitment from this government to stop the wasteful misappropriation of funds?
Well, unfortunately, we have totally run out of time. There's so many other stories, but not to worry. The conversation never ends here on Milan 98.3 FM. However, we'll take a short commercial break. We'll be back for Milan Focus. You get to join the conversation. But today being Wednesday, so many other talk shows that will be looking at the state of the nation and what exactly is going on. But in the meantime, please stay tuned.
Of Wirecast.